Ooh, it's looking to me like the prices went up. So I might be able to make myself a decent amount tonight. Unless we should be good. Oh, what the hell? Yeah, normally I don't hit the letterbox. However, I don't know. I just was not paying attention this time. I have a group of friends that we were running some combat zones earlier. Well, I mainly like to do the combat, but it just doesn't beat doing trading. Yeah, back in the beginning, when I used to always fly the Sidewinder and a couple not so expensive ships, or large ones for that matter, I'd also do just the boosting in through the letterbox, willy-nilly, just boom, going through that 300, and slamming down onto the pad, going, ha! But when you're sitting here, got that almost million rebuy cost, plus however million in cargo, it's, don't want to be nearly as daring anymore. Well, it's not too bad. Got my rebuy currently at 814,000. But yeah, once you find that yourself, that good trade route, that's where it comes, where you start getting the big bucks. Unfortunately, finding a trade route, that's the tough part. I used to be running around in my T6, and that one was a lot easier just because you're able to have medium landing pads. Unfortunately, with this T7, it's a large pad, so it vastly reduced the areas that I was able to go. I had a nice slave trade route that I was in. That was all legal, both ways, so I didn't have to worry about being stopped and fined at all. Oops. But then moved to this, and suddenly the very profitable thing left because I needed that medium landing pad. As for where I'm at here, I'm actually playing on PC. Okay, 1,300 credits a ton right now for the consumer technology. Then usually when I get over here, I grab up some nice, whoops, went down too far. Grab gold, looked like it was selling for 10,000 over my other station, so I'm actually going to get a decent amount of credits this way. If you don't mind flying far, usually some good trade runs will be past the 1,000 light second distance from the sun. Like this other station that I'm going to, and I'm flying backwards, whoops. The station that I'm going to right now, I believe, is at 1,200. Now, unfortunately, that does mean you get only about 6 trips instead of the... Oh my lord, I hit the top again. I'm just not having a good night tonight. So it means that you get about 6 trips instead of 7 per hour. However, the flip side is, because it's so far away, a lot of people don't go there. So the prices don't fluctuate very often. And sometimes that's the best. Yeah, I could see a lot of people kind of picking up the Xbox One a little bit later. Unfortunately, there's so many different console exclusives going on right now, a lot of console games, especially the GTA 5 and so on that just came, well, maybe, I guess it's not just come out, but yeah. And most of the elite people are coming in from playing it back in the day on PC, so they kind of were excited about getting this. I myself, I'm all about having the throttle and stick. All about that immersion. So yeah, 1,200 light seconds. And it did not register. There we go. I think once the CQC comes out, you might also find the consoles pick up in excitement a bit more as well, just because there isn't too many space arcade type fighters there, so that might draw some more interest. I must admit I'm a little intrigued to see how that's going to work out in here. I do have access to the beta for it, but I just haven't been going in that. I've been focusing on trying to get my money. Oh, does Xbox One actually have the full CQC already? Oh man. Okay, I'm a little jealous. Yes, I could do the beta, but I like playing things when they come out a little bit more than during the beta. Usually when I do combat runs and do the combat zones, I like to fly myself a nice kitted out Vulture. It's all about the maneuverability. While I was saying that I'm aiming for Python, that's mainly for the group of friends I play with. They need a bit of a tank to kind of get all the the anacondas firing on me instead of them. But I just love the Vulture's maneuverability. Have the double pulse lasers gimbaled. Usually I can get to the back of whatever I'm fighting against and just sit there, target that power plant, and take them out. One other thing I'm very guilty of doing while I'm running trade routes is not contacting the spaceport and requesting a dock. Oh, so many times I've accidentally gone ahead and just entered, and then I get all those lovely fines, and then I have to rush out before the space dock destroys me and my cargo. AI wingmen would be intriguing, especially because not everybody has somebody to wing up with, right? It's like you were saying there, you have a hard time getting through, finding people in the Xbox community. So I totally understand and I agree that some AI wingmen would be nice to have. However, on the flip side, one thing that oh my gosh, I'm just not on point tonight, ruining all my landings. With wingmen, you share all your bounties. So while I usually do actually really well by myself in the Vulture, and I can pull in, let's see, about 1.2 million an hour without having to leave combat zones, depending on if the Anacondas show up or not, because those are the big money makers. And I can usually just stay in there and not have to worry about dying, which is nice. Up to 1,500. Sweet. So, 1,500 a ton for the gold, and then 1,300 a ton for the consumer electronics. But anyways, like I was saying, when I wing up with them, sometimes we're in a full wing, and unfortunately what happens with that is it gets split between everybody. So that 70,000 that you would have had by yourself with that one Anaconda, it's been now split between however many people are in your wing, so you lose out on so much. Yes, your killing power is a lot faster, but I just find it's not worth it. Maybe 2 people in total are alright, but otherwise yeah. Well, as an ASP, yeah, you usually need a bigger ship in order to survive there. I find once I hit the Vulture, I was doing okay, especially once you get properly kitted out. Now the thing with properly kitting it out, I think my Vulture came to about 15 million. Because when I'm in a combat zone, I'll try to ignore Eagles and Asps because they're on the lower end, and they just don't give that much credit. But I think Vipers can do alright as well, because you've got the 4 hull points there that you can fire from. And they can go fast, so you're able to boost out if you need to and let your shields recharge. But yeah, when you're in there by yourself, you really have to watch out that on your radar, sticking along just the edges. As a Vulture one time when I was fighting in there, I was fighting one Anaconda. He ended up flying away towards his friends. I was hoping to kill him before he got there, and then what did he fly next to? 2 other Anacondas. So suddenly I had 3 Anacondas pounding on me, and then some more Eagles showed up, and yeah, I needed to hightail it right out of there pretty darn quick as well. I think I scraped out with around the 4% like you. See, I've always been interested in possibly doing the exploration as well. It sounds like it could be fun, especially once you get that a ship that has a good jump distance. Get yourself a really good fuel scoop as well, and you're good to go, and you can just go sightseeing. Unfortunately for me, I'm a bit more profit-minded. I like getting money, and apparently the exploration didn't pay out that well. Flip side is, I'm not sure how it is on the Xbox right now, but for in terms of being explored, but I agree that getting your names on the planet for being the first one to explore was actually pretty neat. So if not many people have explored there yet, yeah, I'd say go for it. Get your name out there. You could be the first one. Yeah, the Mark III was pretty good for jump distance. But the further and further you go out, as I'm sure you just saw, as you said there, the jumps get farther and farther apart. And oh, one other time when I was doing some exploration, just minor stuff, I ended up, this was before I really thought to be looking ahead for stars of the right magnitude to actually fuel scoop from. And then I ended up getting stranded because I jumped too far with no properly fuel scoopable stars. So I had to actually detonate myself and lose out on all that money and all the exploration data, which, oh, so disappointed about. This was back before I learned that there's a group called the Fuel Rats that could come out and help refuel you, and I think they had taken out the distress beacon at that point before they started putting in another one where you could get an emergency refueler or something. Either way, I made sure that never happened again, so I don't know if they did ever put a beacon back in or not. Well, good on you for getting your gamer tag out there. I have to admit, I'm a little jealous. I didn't get my name on anything back when they. I've had this since the beta. I actually paid for the closed beta to get into that. And what did I do? I didn't even actually play it all that often. I just liked the idea so much that I wanted to put some money behind it, kind of as a show of, hey, go for it. Played a little bit, but then I was saving up for the X52 Pro that I now have because, well, I enjoyed it and was able to play perfectly well with a keyboard and mouse. I love the feel of the throttle and joystick. But because I didn't play enough, I ended up having just small little ships when they first did that. So then when I started doing some of the exploring, everybody already had their tags out. Then I didn't have a large enough ship to go far enough and get anything out. So I missed out on that, unfortunately. Now I have to go way into the outer rim now in order to put a name anywhere. Cross exploration, I could try. I don't mind if you want to shoot it out at me here. Okay, I'm just going to quickly get myself situated, starting to go to Ackers. Sorry, I'm in Wurengo. And the terminal over here because it's a little further away, so I've got time to search. Make sure there's no bounty hunters. Okay. So is it just the CW-M, or is it that the whole, that's its whole name, is that right there? Okay. Well, trying to put in that whole thing there under the search area here. If it looks right to you, it's not coming up or bringing anything over here. It's coming in a little bit too fast there, just had to bob out a bit. Oh, no problem. Yeah, I haven't explored too much outside of the bubble. Apparently there's some interesting artifacts and stuff to see out there as well. Ah, Misa's over here. There used to be this one guy over here that was a real dick, and he would use the ramming, I guess mechanics was the proper term for it, to actually go destroy traders. If you ram somebody and you get destroyed, it flags them as a criminal, so then the station kills them. When we were winging up with some other traders to get the profit sharing going on, he would go in, boost into them, kill himself, the station would kill them, so they would have to pay the whole T9, their T9 transport's rebuy cost, plus they lose all that cargo that they had. It was ridiculous. It was just dumb that they had that, or he could do that with no detriment to himself, because he'd just buy the really cheap Sidewinder to do it in. So it's costing him next to nothing, because he normally flies Anaconda, has 400 million or whatever. Oh, some people are interesting. Yet I make sure that I still play on open. I tell you this in good faith, hoping that you won't be going out and giggling with glee doing it to someone else. much do I got here now? Slowly getting there. I need, for Python, after I resell everything here, I think I need to get myself something like 35,000 in the bank. And then I'm going to be using the Python mainly for trading at first, but also for the combat zones and bounty hunting, so I'm still going to have to load it up for combat. But I'd love to be able to just submit to the interdictions and fight back. Oops. Huh, interesting. So was he just kind of hovering above the pad, or was he actually legally docked on it and just refusing to lift off? Then did he shoot you outside of the no-fire zone, or how did that work out? Ooh, interdiction. No, sir, I do not want to chance this at all tonight. Usually, back when I was in the T6, I didn't mind just submitting and then boosting away. But with the T7, it's a little bit more cumbersome, and I have a lot more money invested in the cargo. I don't feel like chancing losing it. Oh, right. The pirate areas. Damn, that sucks. Hopefully you didn't have a full cargo load or combat bonds or anything you lost there. I haven't gone into the Anarchy systems too much myself. I originally wanted to play as a smuggler. That's what first got me into this game, is watching videos of someone doing smuggling runs on the station. I'm glad to hear you're able to get away there. But sadly, the black market prices just aren't worth doing smuggling runs in this game anymore. They heavily nerfed it. Yeah, it always burns when you lose that huge amount of cargo like that in one go. I have to admit, the thrill of the smuggle, it is quite wonderful. I enjoyed having to go into silent running. Just zoom in through that letterbox. With an ASP, yeah, it would also be pretty darn good for that too. Unfortunately, my T7 is a little slow here, so every time I leave the station, I get them scanning me right away. So I'm very happy I'm not having any illegal goods. I want to get into power play. I tried it at first and didn't like it as much, but yeah. We'll see if they end up adding a bit more, and once you start a wing, then go. I was looking at one of the Reddit areas for the first. There was one, Aisling Duval, I believe. I'm not 100% on the name there. I believe that's who it is. And they have this huge community plotting and planning what to undermine, how to grab things, and so on. So I guess I just need to find someone, the community for one of the people that I enjoy, and just do that, because plotting and planning everything with everyone would be actually a heck of a lot of fun. Yeah, that's one thing I was also disappointed in, is you don't need to use silent running anymore. If you, with the boosting and how you're going in, you're passing through people that are overlapping AI, so they're trying to figure out who needs to go scan you, and then to go scan you, and usually you've left one of their patrol routes into another one, and you're able to just not care anymore, so there's not as much danger, which makes sense seeing as there's not as much profit, but yeah. Once I get my Python, I'm thinking of going and bringing up my Empire reputation, just because the Imperial Clipper, Courier, and some of the other ships that they have just looks so damn nice. Sure, their stats aren't as great as some of the other things, like the Vulture. I know I go on and on about that Vulture, but still. But it just, they look so good. Not that you guys see your ship all that often. Whoops, not paying attention again. There we go. Might have to go check them out someday. But I don't know. If you said all about troll oriented. Mind you, I do still have that smuggler mentality, but maybe do some bounty hunting. Definitely have to grab somebody who gives benefits to combat bonds and or bounty hunting. I think those are the two that would end up working best for my personal play style. Well, that's good to hear that you don't troll. Oh, some people take off their shield generators to fit a bit more cargo, but if you were watching me here tonight and seeing all these crashes, you understand why I kind of keep that thing on. I get so easily distracted that I just don't pay attention. I just ram into things all the time. Oh, I hear you about that boring. My lord. As you can tell here, I'm actually very, very happy that you've joined into the... I just started streaming today, and I'm very happy that you've joined in, because going through this, normally what I do is I just pop on Netflix, sit there and watch that, but then I realized I didn't quite set up the stream here to mute the Netflix yet, so I would have had to reconfigure everything. I wasn't sure if I wanted to spend time doing that. But now at least, I've got somebody here to chat with. Hulda Hutton. Oh gosh, that community thing. I tried to go to Hutton when I first found it, and I made it about a quarter of the way before I decided no. Just no. It is so damn far away. Ah, yes, Star Trek. I've just recently started... What was it? Not Voyager. Next Generation. Yep. Just started it. I remember fondly watching them back when I was younger in the day, but never really paying too much attention to it because it's just background TV that my parents were watching. But now, it was always kind of interesting, so now I'm getting into it there. As I'm sure you noticed me looking at the chat there with Misa talking about Jaco. He's one of my other friends who started playing not too long ago, and as you can see, he's already surpassed me, and he's been playing almost non-stop since he's picked this up. I can't do that. I get a little bored, especially doing these trading runs back and forth and back. Hour of flight time. Oh god. Well, you know what? I commend you. I salute. I can't do that. I sit here and think about, well, I could be making more money doing this, since I've got my own special little goal to work towards. But at the same time, I've noticed there's some other people doing streams they're doing that Hutton Orbital, and they're just filling the time with doing random silly things. I must admit, I didn't really look into what the payments were like. What was the rewards for doing so? Are you looking forward to the new expansion coming out as well, or what are your thoughts on that? I was a little leery at first, as I didn't really care too much for planetary landings, but then they're going on and on about how they're going to be doing so much more. Different loots and possible droppable items and crafting. I don't know how crafting would really work, but the droppable items seems kind of intriguing. I think Voyager was the one that I remember kind of half seeing the most episodes from. I don't remember much about it at all, which is actually great because that means when I go through and start watching everything, it's brand new, it's fresh. I'm not sitting there going, oh, halfway through, yeah, I remember what's happening there. Yeah, I ended up picking up the Lifetime Pass. Despite me saying how I get bored with the game every now and then and stop playing for a little while, at the same time, I always keep coming back to it as well. I mean, I do enjoy it. It's that nice thing to sit down in the evening too, do a little bit of relaxing, either space trucking or go chill out in space for a little bit before heading off to bed. And then, well, yes, I did get the lifetime subscription. That means that I'm hoping that they'll be doing at least 3 expansions, so this way it pays for itself. But there's still so much they can do with this game. I'm betting they'll at least make it worth its while. I'm not sure if they'll stick to the, yeah, it's a whole year of mini expansions or not, but I'm thinking they might eventually change that to more frequent paid expansions later on down the road. I agree. They're probably not going to be. They're definitely not going to be upgrading it that long. But that's where it comes down to. Oh, I sped up way too early. It comes down to they're near the end of the life cycle. Like most games, they're going to try to be putting out tons of DLC or whatever. I'm hoping they'll cover that. If not, whatever. I'm just not going to buy it. Yeah, and as they said there, you don't have to own them in order to keep playing. You're able just to keep going. You just won't be able to partake in some stuff. So, sure, some people might be able to jump down to the ground, but whatever. You can still be doing your stuff above planet, doing trades and what have you. And here it is. I almost forgot to contact the darn place again. Oh, I'm sure he does thank me. Man, yeah, no, I just ended up having, it was one of those times where you just have that little bit of extra cash hanging around, and you're like, I'm not doing anything, don't have anything planned with it, why not? But yeah, I'm one of these people that I guess make it the reason why they put out those things. Technically, they enjoy people more like you who will buy each expansion. They get more money in the long run, but the thing is they've got to work harder to keep your interest. If they don't, then obviously you're not going to buy the expansions. So the buying the lifetime is a great cash infusion in the beginning, but ultimately it's actually a very poor business plan because you're losing more money in the long run. Yeah, I've read into there's quite a lot of features, well, in air quotes here, that haven't included. Because as I said earlier there, I was in the closed beta as well. And there were all things, I still remember the huge uproar from when they decided to cut offline play, which they originally were saying they'd try to get in. Most of the wording said that it seemed like it was a thing that was a guaranteed, not a if we could. But the fact that they ended up taking it out was huge. And there used to be a little a bobblehead on my dashboard that went away for absolutely no reason. That made me a little sad. So, I agree. There's definitely some business practices that I think that they are going to have to change. And there's also lots of comments about how this is basically an empty sandbox. Which, look at me. I'm just sitting here flying from point A to point B to point A to point B over and over. Or you sit in a combat zone. Or you sit in a resource extraction. There isn't that much to do yet, so they really need to get on their game and start pumping stuff out. What I'm hoping is by the fact that they went and put it on consoles, this is a whole new host of voices for you all to add to, yo guys, get stuff out. And that they'll listen, maybe. Ooh. Yeah, I can't claim to know enough to make a proper judgment call on my part. But some of the practices, I'm going to have to agree. As for why I still threw that money at them, well, we can just say I am one of the part of the adage of a fool and his money are soon parted. I'm just going to have to cross my fingers and hope. It's also part and part that I have some other friends that are totally all gung-ho and into this. I'm hoping that they'll also continue because they got these kind of passes as well. Nah, don't worry about it, man. Like I said, I totally understand, and I've read enough of the forums and Reddit posts that you're not alone. You are not even close to being alone about those thoughts on that process. That's some stuff that needs to get changed, especially if he wants the community to keep growing. And heck, once Star Citizen comes out, it's going to be even more that he has to go about if Star Citizen can deliver on all the promises, that is. I admit that one I'm even more leery about than this one's continuation, just because of the amount of crowdfunding and the fact that they're selling like $4,000 ships that are just, you don't actually get to fly them or anything yet, or maybe ever, and yet people are still just dumping money into this just to have a hangar right now that you can kind of walk around in. Oops. It's always funny how just one person could sometimes just turn you on or off from an entire company. 16.3. Slow, so slow. See the co-pilots and so on? Yeah, that's what I'm kind of interested in for the Star Citizen, is because, whoops, there's supposed to be multi-crewed ships. And I think that would be really cool. I have... Ah, boy. There we go. I have... What is it? Guns of Icarus Online on my PC here through Steam that I love playing, where you're in an airship with a crew, and one's a captain, you've got some gunners, engineer, and so on, and working together to fly the ship and take down your enemies. It's a hell of a lot of fun. So if they can successfully bring that across, that'd be amazing. My dad was heavy into the flight sims, and I believe I too have played Flight Sim 95. I think that was the only one I've played. And unfortunately we didn't have any joysticks or anything, so it was all just mouse and keyboard, but it was still pretty good. Kind of like you've mentioned there, being able to have your crew separated based upon what everybody likes to do. That makes a big difference in how long people are willing to play it as well, because they're doing something, the part that they enjoy. The part that was interesting for me with the later flight sims is when you're able to start going online and you actually had it like a real world people pretending to be in the air tower controllers doing the flight directions to the pilots going up and actually working it like a real world station would be. I have this sinking feeling that I got too caught up in our conversation that I just totally doubled back on where I came from. Plus flight times. Wow. Yeah, that's impressive. I mean, admittedly, I sometimes spend, what is it, up to 4 hours or so after I get home, put the kids to bed, then hop on here. But usually those, I can kind of go with your length during the weekends there. It's nice when you're able to escape that long and do something you enjoy like that, though. Oh, I guess it's the moment of truth. We'll see here if I did totally screw up my navigation and doubled back. If I was a smart man, I would have actually just looked at my cargo, because Ackers, I believe, was the one that had the gold. What better way to slow yourself down than to just ram the floor? Oh yeah. Yep, I doubled back. I have no idea how I pulled that off. I feel quite ashamed of myself. First time I've done that. I have no idea how I did that. Oh boy. I find sometimes, I'm not sure if it's my joystick or what, but my throttle, it just shoots up for no reason. But that could also just me trying to blame the controls when it's entirely pilot error, which it could very well be. I must admit I don't really have much of a defense for myself. Well, either way, I've got the shields to absorb it. I'm only down to 80% hull. That should be good. Yes, I will freely admit that I have actually spent quite some time actually looking around in the stations or the rings that orbit the stations. And each of the rings are different as well. Some of them have heavy forest. I found some that were just agricultural land. And the details inside them are so nice. even if you... Oh, yeah, no, that's probably what I ended up doing there. Even the outsides of the cube stations, if you go really close and just looking in between all the plates and so on, just makes you think of being an X-Wing. That is a little disappointing about these two stations, though. They are a little more plain. Not as pretty to look at, but oh well. What's pretty is those credits rolling in. Yeah, usually I try to remember to raise my landing gear as soon as I take off, just to help with the throttle, and then I use not my boost, but I do my thrust up, and I don't just gun it. But from time to time, yeah, as you've noticed there, I kind of just leave that there. It does help with the keeping it going a little more slower if I'm requiring a bit more fine touching. I think it's more that I just forget that I've either have the gear up or down and I don't adjust my throttle accordingly. Bonus is, while watching all my various mishaps and crashes, I'm sure you feel a lot better about your flying. I'm sure you're doing a lot better than I am here tonight. I'm not normally this bad, I swear. I swear. Oh. Alright, you have a good one. Thanks for staying by here. It was a pleasure chatting with you. Probably just going to do a couple more runs myself before I head out here. I just want to make it up to that 17 mil mark. Yeah, let's totally that thrust while I had the landing gear. One thing I need to work on is later is trying that flight assist off. I can never get the handle on that. Half tempted to let myself get interdicted one of these days, just to see if I can outrun them in my T7 and or escape. As I was able to do with a hauler than the T6, no problem. But I don't know if it's just too cumbersome with this one, or how it's going to be. I have enough of a monetary cushion where I could definitely afford a loss. But the real question is, do I really want to even attempt that? Alright, yeah, I think once I dock here and unload these commodities, I'm probably going to call it a night. Thank you everyone for watching. What I'm probably going to do is fiddle around with these settings, seeing as how this is pretty much my first time streaming. See if I can get some music going in the background or what have you, as it is a little quiet. Maybe adjust some sound settings, what have you. Okay. That's sold. That's close enough for my 17 million goal. That's good for me. Alright, well, that's going to be everything. I'm going to just enter the hangar as a symbolic docking for the night. Once again, thank you everyone for tuning in, and you have yourselves a wonderful evening and or day. We will talk to you later.